Be the right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most.
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the No Laying Up podcast. It's a wrap on day 3 at the U.S. Women's Open out at Erin Hills. God, we had a spicy one. To help me break it down right now, joining me, Cody McBride and Jordan Perez. We're going to have pop-ins from DJ Pyhowski, who is out on site today. We got Tron Carter coming in later in the show. Let me start, Cody. How are you? How did you enjoy the golf today?
It was awesome. It took us 2 days, but we finally got to a spot where Erin Hills was able to show her teeth, and it wasn't even like crazy windy. It's just, really good greens, an awesome course with really good hole locations, and it just completely threw a lot of these women. They were having fits big. It was crazy. I loved it all.
I know. I believe the scoring average today was just over 75 for a third round. And we were right on the cut number, 60 women. It's not like we had a bunch of fluffers going out there today.
Well, slow moving for only 60, but we'll get to that later on.
Yeah, we'll get to that. JP, Jordan Perez, welcome. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Honestly, this feels like a proper major championship, and I could not be happier. We're putting people in a blender. We have a proper setup out there. Guys, it just feels good. We deserve this.
Hell yeah. I totally am with you. Felt proper with a capital P today. Not, first couple rounds, little easy for my liking, but today was good. So
Big, something with the capital P's though? That's that Pro V1 golf ball, baby.
Oh, Cody,
and this podcast is brought to you by Titleist and the #1 ball in golf. That's the Pro V1 golf ball. The overwhelming majority of competitors at this year's U.S. Women's Open are trusting the performance and consistency of a Titleist golf ball. 102 competitors this week at Erin Hills are teeing up either a Pro V1 or a Pro V1X. That's 6 times the nearest competitor. While 72% of the golf balls played on the LPGA Tour this season have been the #1 ball in golf. Guys, it's clearly no reason. It's very evident why, okay? The performance when you need it most, consistency when you need it most, and that's like the premier ball striking and short game that you need around Erin Hills. That's where the Pro V1 and Pro V1X shows up the most. So another cool story this year, Jin Yang, she kind of played okay today, not probably the day that she wanted, but she plays a Pro V1X, is currently #1 on the LPGA for shots game or strokes game approach, #1 for strokes game around the green, #1 for strokes game tee to green, all with that Titleist golf ball. So incredible. So many people that are out there. Please go check them out at Titleist.com and play the #1 ball in golf.
Yeah, I would say you need a proper Pro V1. We saw the green spicy today. We saw some pins in provocative positions. We're gonna. I teased it. We're gonna get to DJ. I can't wait to get his thoughts from being out on the course. He's probably our preeminent Erin Hills fanatic. Has played it the most out of all of us. So I'll see what he thought of the course today. Real quick, if you didn't catch much of the golf, your top 10 going into the final round. Solo first, Maja Stark shot a 70 today. She sits at 7 under par. In second place, Spain's Julia Lopez Ramirez. This is a great story, JP. I can't wait to dig into her day. She shot the round of the day with a 68. Nobody else shot in the 60s. It was a super, super impressive round from her. She sits one back on Maja Stark. In a tie for third, we have 3 Japanese women, all at 5 under par. Ryo Takada, who shot a 70, Hanako Shibuno, who shot an even par 72, and then Mal Saigo, who was our leader through 36 holes. She stumbled a bit today, shot a 75. She's part of that triumvirate, tied for third. Nelly Korda sits alone in 6th place, 4 under par. She shot a 73. It wasn't going great for her for a while. She salvaged it coming in. A lot to talk about there. And then tied for 7th, we have 3 women. Minji Lee, a former U.S. Women's Open champion. She seems to be loitering. She shot a 71 today. Ling Grant shot a 73. She's there at 3 under. And Sarah Schmelzel is also at 3 under. And then quickly, a trio of women tied for 10th just to round out the top 10. You have Mexico's Gabby Lopez, China's Ronning Yin, and Yelimi No, who also struggled today with a 75. So there is your top 10. JP and Cody. Cody, I'll start with you, though. Through 54 holes, what would you say is the story of the week so far? What do you think is the biggest news as we head into Sunday?
I think TC is probably going to come in here a little bit later and talk a lot about the golf course. And I think truly a lot of it has to do with the golf course. Basically, if you're, contenders or pretenders, if you're a pretender that's out there, you're a little fluffer, as we like to call, they've basically been ejected, and only the serious players are kind of left here. But it's Maja Stark. I mean, she came out, started this championship absolutely on fire, battled back in round 2, had the unfortunate event, didn't even get to finish her round last night, was kind of upset about that. Horn blew when she was on the 18th green and desperately wanted to get it in, had to wake up early this morning, go out there and finish it up, and then come out and battle today. And, 2 under on a very, very difficult golf course, but bogey free on her second 9 to include, played the proper shots when she needed to, was aggressive when she needed to be aggressive, played, just kind of plotted her way around. So I think she is the story for me, especially, she hasn't won in the States yet. She has 1 LPGA Tour win, 5 or 6 others on the LET, but it's just one of those things where she is kind of, it's more of a mental game than anything with Maja. So it's a big sleep. It's a long wait. It's going to be interesting to see.
I thought, to my eye, she was one of the few women out there that seemed to be taking the fight to Erin Hills a little bit. I thought she was aggressive with her putting. I thought she tried to be aggressive as possible with her ball striking. I don't know. Just obviously she played well and she's leading, but I don't think that's an accident. I thought she was kind of on her front foot all day instead of, many of these women we just saw kind of defensive and really tentative. And I was impressed, I guess, more with her putting. I thought Maja was just, she was going after it today. And I respect that. Should make for an interesting Sunday. JP, what is your story through the first 54 holes?
I'm going to let my am bias / newly turned pro bias peak here just a little bit. I don't know if we want to get into Julia Lopez Ramirez fully just yet. But I think just this week that she's had has just been incredible. And I think in some ways it's almost a little random given the past year that she's had between removing her appendix, only making 3 out of 7 cuts in her rookie year on the LPGA. And Thursday was her first bogey-free round as a professional. And so a lot of things about it don't really add up in terms of recency for her. But this is a great course fit for her. She kind of going back to what you were saying, Big, similar to Maja, she really took it to Erin Hills today and the past few days, and has just played really fearlessly. And yeah, seeing her card such a good round today and be just right in it, right behind Maja at -6. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled because I think it really helps validate her status was a number 1 player in the world. So it's kind of what you had down. It's a coming out party. It's tremendous. And yeah, I don't know if I want to get full. There was a couple cool nuggets I found about Julia and what she had been up to lately. And I think I don't know if we want to fully get into it, but that's my favorite story coming in 54 holes.
Let's we'll unpack kind of the top of the board. So I'm gonna have you bottle it for just a couple of minutes here. My story of the day, this looked better about 45 minutes ago. I thought Mal Saigo still has a really good opportunity to win the first 2 majors of this 2025 season, which I think is a very big deal. I think beyond that, 3 Japanese women, we talked about it in our happy hour, the rise of Japanese women, especially with their success on the LPGA Tour. one of them has a very good shot to win. But I'm going to default to Nelly Korda. This is a big spot. We had questioned kind of how much grease and grind and how willing she is to really, win a championship where par is a very good number. And it was a seesaw day for her. She went out in 40, did not look good on the front nine, didn't make a birdie, but then stayed in it, birdied 14, birdied 15, birdied 18, and turned what, could have been a 75, 76 today into a 73. And now she's solo 6, will be the third to last group, and has a good chance to go hunt a U.S. Women's Open tomorrow, which I think would be fantastic for golf at large, and obviously a fantastic thing for Nelly, certainly to win this type of championship too, where her KPMG win, I believe she was 19 under par total. The Chevron win, she was 13 under par. I want to see her win a very difficult proper setup. So those are our big stories of the day. Guys, Cody, anything else? Let's just unpack the top of this board before we move on. Maja Stark, you mentioned, hadn't been like the best season coming into this week. Like, wasn't awful. Is looking for her first win on American soil. What I really like about Maja so far this week, her statistical profile is fabulous. She is, let me pull it up here. Today, she gained over 3.5 strokes with the putter. On the week, she is first in strokes gained approach at plus 2.37 strokes per round. She's 11th with the putter. She's just very solid. I mean, we are big fans of Maja, but I just feel like nothing fluky about this week so far, Cody.
No, it's been very good. She's struggling this year with her ball striking of all things. So going through some changes. She's had a caddy change earlier this year, and there's a lot of new for her. So as she's continued to kind of fall into what the new swing feels are, it seems that this is the kind of the first time that we've seen her with confidence back, which is really good to see. I mean, it's very easy to compare her and Lynn. And they kind of just go about things the same way. They both really like playing hard golf courses because they know that like half the field is just going to eject themselves. And she said it in her post-round presser today, like that kind of frees her up. So if she continues to putt the way that she putted today, I mean, it seemed like she made everything. And the long ones that weren't necessarily going to go in, they were all tracking like directly at the hole. I was so impressed with how she held it together.
Yeah. Only woman to be under par all 3 rounds. She's gone 70, 69, 70. That's very impressive. I think too, just going back to, we had talked to her before last year's, or was it the Spain Solheim Cup? I guess it would have been the Spain Solheim Cup where she made her debut. She was very open about how much she loved that environment, that pressure. She was nervous to start, but I think the bigger the moment, she's truly one of those people that wants to rise up. Like, she has high expectations for herself. And so I don't think she'll be overcome playing in the final group on Sunday of a U.S. Women's Open. I think she'll be very eager to get out there. It's going to be a fun spot to watch her and to see how she reacts and plays tomorrow. JP, I think it's time for some Julia. Let me say Julia Lopez Ramirez takes. What do you have on her? You mentioned former #1 amateur in the world, was a product of Mississippi State, turned pro early, got her card through qualifying series just this past winter. What else can you tell people about Julia?
Yeah, Julia, she was a rifle #1 in the world. She won 8 times in college, won 2 back-to-back individual SEC titles, owns the top 2 scoring records for a season at Mississippi State, which is so cool. Yeah, she's just an interesting person. I was kind of reading some of her quotes that she had from earlier in the week, and they had asked her, "You're one of the longest players on the LPGA already. What is it that allows you to generate so much power?" And she said, "Honestly, I don't know how to answer that question. I've heard people say that." Ooh, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah,
It
everybody
might be through your AirPods. Sorry.
Is it
Didn't
my
mean to
AirPods?
disrupt
Oh, it
you
might
there.
have
Yeah.
switched. It might have switched. Do you want me to finish that quote?
Please.
All right, I'll finish that quote. I'll start from the beginning. She was asked how she was able to generate so much power as one of the longest players on the LPGA. And then she said, I don't know how to answer that question. I've heard people say that because I ride motorbikes, my forearms are strong, and that's why I hit it far. People say it comes from my legs. I don't know. I've been hitting it far since I was a kid because I compete with my coach, and I try to hit it as far as I can. And I think it just came with me. So I don't know. That's a new one for me. I haven't heard the riding motorbikes translating into that, but that was awesome.
I have not heard that either. You would not guess that she's one of the longest out there. And when I say the longest, just to put it in perspective, this week her driving distance ranks number 1 in the field. She's averaging about 291 yards off the tee, whereas the field average is just short of 251 yards. So she's got 40 yards on the field. That's quite long. Her strokes gained off the tee for the week, she ranks 3rd at plus 1.68 strokes. And I mean, she's putting it well. She ranks 14th in putting. It's a coming out party. And this is one where I'm like, I could see her being in it till the end tomorrow. And I also wouldn't be surprised if she shot 77, 78 tomorrow and slid down the leaderboard. I truly have no idea what to expect. JP, what are your expectations?
Honestly, I can see her
sounds so much
hanging
better.
around.
Oh my God.
Everybody
Oh,
loves
like,
it.
okay,
It's
okay,
like
we're good.
velvet.
We're good.
Yeah, it's like
Good. Was I
velvety.
staticky? What was happening?
No, I think we're getting it through your AirPods.
It just
or
wasn't
maybe
rich.
computer.
You didn't have, yeah.
You know, this mic is a little temperamental. Sometimes it really behaves, and then sometimes it just wants to get back to the AirPods. I don't know, guys. Sorry about that. Honestly, guys, I see her hanging around. I really do.
Okay.
I was really impressed last year when we were over in St. Andrews, and she hung around all weekend. I mean, Lottie took Low-Am, and that was a kind of a foregone conclusion. But she hung around and made the cut, and I didn't exactly expect that out of her, just in terms of course fit. But this weekend, I really can see her hanging around. She's got such a streak of confidence from the past few days. And I mean, in a lot of senses, I mean, she is an underdog. I mean, it's kind of interesting when we look at the top of this leaderboard. I came to a conclusion, like, you've either been like a dog lately or you have just not been it whatsoever. Like, there's really no in between for anybody here. And I love that because there's just so many outcomes that could emerge from it. But I think Julia is a factor tomorrow. Absolutely.
Let me be very clear. I hope she is a factor. We've seen people in their first bite at a US Open on the men's side and on the women's side. Sunday is just a different beast. But JP, I hope she's in it. She's fun to watch. I hope they move 15 up. I'm just thinking, like, with her distance between 14, 15, 18, the par 5, like, there could be some fireworks coming in depending on the setup tomorrow. As we get to the triumvirate of Japanese, maybe we can save some of this for TC.
I got a question for you because I think a lot of stock and if you're just looking at like current results, I understand she is an underdog, right? But it's her rookie year in professional golf. Her results on the LPGA Tour is because every single place that she goes to is brand new. All right. It takes a lot. We've seen that with rookies every single year since professional golf was like a thing. Where she's at currently is just part of her process and part of her development. I think there's a lot of stock that we put into her being number 1, for a little bit of time. She would have been number 1 in the world for a long time if it wasn't for Ingrid Lindblad. Right. She just came. She came up when it's very difficult. I mean, she won. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but she won the European Ladies Amateur. I believe
that was 23.
Okay, so I say that, we say that she's a product of Mississippi State, but she brought more to that program than probably that program gave her. You see, like, there's this revolution now of incredibly talented Spanish amateurs that are coming up the women's ranks that she is like leading the way on. She is going to be a Solheim Cup contender, a part of next year's team for sure. She's that good. She just needs to get more experience under her belt in professional golf. So this result here on a very difficult golf course with her assistant coach at Mississippi State, who caddied for her last year at the AIG Women's Open, they're just vibing and they're having a good time. And they are equals to everyone else out there because these players have never seen this golf course before. It's the first time all year she's actually on even footing with everybody.
Yeah. I
Well said.
don't disagree. Don't disagree. Where do you want to go with the rest of the leaderboard? Do we want to drill in on any of these Japanese women tied for third? Do you want to talk about Nelly? I don't want to get, we can go wherever you guys want. You tell me.
Yeah, I would say, Mao had a tough day. I would say, she's definitely still very much in this. This is a fluke day for her. And I have this weird feeling that just like Chevron, people want to say that she kind of came out of nowhere and won Chevron. Like, no, she put herself in the position and played really, really good golf and won it straight away in the playoff. I think she is absolutely at the top of this leaderboard, coming in with probably the most momentum, even though today was a bad day for her. And it's like one of those where she touched the fire and got bit, and she's not going to make those mistakes tomorrow. I just kind of have that feeling. I think Nelly probably deserves a bigger conversation. Lynn Minji, I'm super impressed with Sarah Smejl. Even though she shot 74 today, she's still sitting there at T7. She had to play the first 2 rounds with Carlota. They were like on the clock for basically all of the first 2 rounds. It's crazy the amount of pressure that they played under. And she still finds herself in this position in the top 10 when she's like desperately trying to win on her 7th year on the LPGA Tour. She still hasn't won.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, all right, a lot of directions we can go. Back to Mao Saigo. I wonder if you shot her with truth serum tonight, if it, in a weird way, she would almost prefer being 2 shots back instead of like she was today, 3 shots up starting the day. Like, I just feel like it's hard to hold a bigger lead at a US Open specifically, where there are a lot of bogeys, some doubles. We saw that at Chevron a little bit. She was just kind of there and snuck into the playoff and won the playoff. So I'm certainly not counting her out. I also wonder how easy it is to kind of recover from a bad 3rd round. I'd be very curious if anybody has stats like the women who have won the US Open over the last decade, let's say. I wonder what their 3rd round scoring average is. I would be curious if it's like, hey, there are examples of people shooting 75 and then coming back and having a really nice 4th round. I don't know. Rio Takada is coming. TC loves her. I'm sure he's going to want to talk about her. She's a rookie this year.
So hyped for that.
But she's already won twice on the LPGA. She won late last year when she wasn't even a member, and then she won in China early this year. So she fully belongs where she is. And then Hanako Shibuno, she is an AIG Women's Open champion. She is not the greatest ball striker, quite honestly, but just has a demon of a short game. So if it turns into a bit of a slog tomorrow, I wouldn't count her out with her ability to get up and down and her putter. But that brings us to Nelly again. Solo 6. She shot 1 over 73 today. Cody, I thought she was pretty bad for most of the day. And I thought it started with the putter. I just thought her putting honestly looked so tentative. It seemed like even her birdie putts, she just seemed to be lagging a lot of stuff up. She turned in 40. She was 1 over par. But total credit to her, instead of like really going away, she didn't make a bogey on the back. She found 3 birdies. And now here she is, 3 shots back. And I do think this would be a very momentous victory for her for many reasons, chiefly like a difficult, proper setup. And we just haven't seen her, she's a lot like Rory in that when she's on and when, she can just pin her ears back and go fire at flags, she's really good. We just haven't seen her play a patient and win a very patient golf tournament, maybe outside Palos Verdes last year. But I'm curious your guys' thoughts on Nelly. I guess the question that I'll start the conversation, were you more heartened by her round today or were you more disappointed?
I was so heartened by it. I mean, this is normally when Nelly kind of ejects, and she could have done that after shooting 40 on the front 9, but she actually fought back and played really, really good. Clean scorecard coming in on the back. Finally got her speed under control. seemed like her ball striking just got better overall. I mean, I feel really good about where Nelly's at right now. Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I think Nelly's own worst enemy is herself in a lot of major championships, and she really studied herself today. I found it really fascinating that she was leading the field in driving distance and fairways hit. I mean, just phenomenal stats from that end, but like, I don't think it's a cause for alarm. In some instances, I watch her, and especially with the putter, I watch her and I'm like, we need to restart a dialogue on Nelly Corda. And then in other instances, I'm like, maybe she's just fine. And maybe I'm just impatient and I'm asking for instant gratification out of golf, which is a silly thing to do. I think it was steady, and I think heartened is a good way to come out of it. It's a great takeaway, and I'm very curious to see, right, if she comes out tomorrow, is aggressive, is firing at flags, and just has the stroke of confidence and is just ready to chase. I would love to see that out of Nelly, because then she would be a certified killer. Like I could never say a bad word about Nelly Korda again. Truly, if she clips off a U.S. Women's Open at Erin Hills, could never do that again. But we've got 18 more holes of golf to watch from Nelly Korda this weekend.
JP said it.
Feels very similar to going into last Sunday at St. Andrews Big.
I know. I was just going to kind of go through her stats. JP said she leads the field this weekend, or she led today, in driving distance. For the week, she's second in strokes gained off the tee at plus 1.8. She's seventh in strokes gained approach. So like, she's hitting the ball great. She's hit 37 of 42 fairways. She's hit 42 of 54 greens, which is tied for third. It is the putter. She's losing shots with the putter. Today, she lost nearly 2 strokes. You're right, Jordan. She's making it a conversation again, and it will be a shame if she hits the ball as well as she has this week and is simply let down by the putter. Like it's gonna feel like another missed opportunity, Cody. To your point, like St. Andrews felt like a big missed opportunity for her.
I will say the one thing about putting too is that's a direct reflection of her ball striking. These greens are massive out there, and she's just like, she's not sharp so far with her irons. And when she's coming in with like such shorter irons compared to everyone else, and then is like completely missing on the wrong side of the green and then struggling to 2-putt, that's why she had so many 3-putts. And that's why it seems like every single time we're watching Nelly putt, we're like, oh no, here, because she also is like making us feel that way. It's just crazy that she's right back to that same position. I saw a comment in the live chat earlier, like nobody, those spider putters, like nobody looks confident over a 5-footer with them. So definitely Nelly, like it is jarring. You're just like, I don't know. Compared that to like Maja over 10-footers today. I was like, oh, she's gonna make this.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy watching the confidence and strokes compared to the two. And we're sitting here saying, oh yeah, Nelly's got a chance to do this. Last year at St. Andrews, Nelly was really thrown off her game by the pace of play and kind of like I don't want to say it was a bad group, but she put herself in a really bad position trying to go in and come from behind to get it. She absolutely should have. She absolutely could have. But that's where we saw like a lot of the mental flaws and mental mistakes lead to the biggest mistake of all on, I can't remember if it was 15 or 16, when she just like 16. Completely blocked it into the parking lot. But I don't think tomorrow, she's going to have the biggest crowds, but they're playing 6-hour rounds here. Like that's not going to help her mind. That's not going to free her up.
No. Hopefully the experience will help her. Hopefully the pace will be a little better. They will be off in twosomes. They went off in threesomes because they couldn't complete round 2 because of the weather. Still think that's kind of BS. I would have loved the USGA to figure out a way to send them off in twosomes. Yeah, it's going to be, God, can't wait to see what Nelly has in store. Because, man, if that putter does get hot tomorrow for a day, she's going to be very difficult to beat. But
I mean, the totality of all this is just massive on her. Like, this is like her final boss of major championships. I mean, this is just, she's had her worst finishes in major championships at U.S. Women's Opens. It's so between slow play, different things getting in her head. I mean, I just, you know, if she can come out, hey, if she top fives here, I think that's tremendous, truly. And I would love to see what comes from that. But this is her final boss. Like, to see her slay something like that I don't know. I almost think like her. I don't know. I would be so excited about her legacy at that point, and I'm getting really giddy thinking about it. But yeah, just please get through those putting woes, girl, please.
For sure, sure. I think she's definitely going to be aided tomorrow. She's playing. They're going off in twosomes tomorrow, which they should have today, and she's paired with Mao, who she is going to love because they're both major champions. They both are going to go out and do serious work, and I think that's a very good grouping for Nelly. As opposed to being with, somebody else out there when pressure is truly coming down and somebody's spitting the bit and completely getting out of there. But I'm very interested to hear about on the ground experience and what it's like out there.
Is he here?
Before we get there, I want to talk about this new piece that I got right here, big. And of course, that's from our friends at Levelwear. All right. The new No Laying Up with Levelwear items are in the pro shop now. Please check them out. They're available to everyone. New lightweight hoodies for men and women. New t-shirts too, including a couple new youth options. Check out the Lux Tee, a streetwear-inspired premium unisex t-shirt with No Laying Up embroidery. Sweet. Visit store.nolayingup.com and stock up for summer. Of course, the guy who is out there all day long. Well, probably not all day long, but as long as little Charles out there, little Charlie would allow him to. That's DJ Pie. DJ.
Greetings, folks. Thank you.
The Pie Man hit the merch tent. I see.
Look at it.
I got one of these Sasquatch t-shirts that everybody's been talking about. I live here. I don't totally know what the reference to the Sasquatch stuff is. I don't know if that's kind of a Wisconsin North Woods sort of situation, but I'll take it. TC wanted me to get one for him, and figured I'd pick one up for myself as well. Great to be with you guys. What a day out at the U.S. Women's Open.
Yeah, and also with you, thanks for joining us. Correct me if I'm wrong. You took the wife, you took the baby, you went out for a nice day. How was it?
It was awesome, man. Sincerely, very, very awesome. Perfect conditions out there. It was like 62 degrees, a little cool in the morning. Sun shining, a lot of people out there. It was great. We had a really, really great time. I got a couple of observations in the notebook that I wanted to share with you guys. And the first one was, and this, check me if I'm getting ahead of myself, but it felt more like attending a British Open, an Open Championship to me than it did, a normal LPGA event, certainly, or even like a US Open. And a lot of that is because of the colors out there, the fescue, the lack of trees. You can kind of go anywhere, do anything out there. There's no like pinch points where they're funneling all the spectators into one place. It's truly just like show up and roam, go do whatever you want, which makes for a really, really, really fun experience out there. And the other thing I'll say about that and why it reminded me of the Open, I think, is, and hand up here for me, this is I think this is the first US Women's Open I've ever been to. So I'm sure that they're all like this, but it's just about the golf out there. There's not a bunch of like crazy ass activations going on and dunk tanks and all kinds of stupid shit. It's like, no, just come out and you're just gonna have a great view to hang out and watch the golf up close. And that's exactly what it was at Erin Hills. So I hopefully that came through a little bit on TV, but I thought a fantastic spectator experience. I know this isn't necessarily what gets the people all hot and bothered, but again, just for future Erin Hills content, for future venues like this, it's so nice to be able to park on site. There's no shuttles, there's no like riding buses, there's no parking 20 minutes away. It's just like taking advantage of that big ass piece of property allows for you to have a pretty seamless in and out sort of day, especially with only one road going to the golf course. So that was great.
Do you want to do more observations, or because I also was, if you just want to stay on Erin Hills, the golf course, but I don't want to get you off track of your observations.
No, please.
You tell me which way you'd like to go.
Well, the only thing I guess maybe I would flip the counterweight to that whole thing is it's hard to make it feel like there's a million people out there. You know,
Yeah.
like that place is so big and so sprawling. And like one of the cool benefits is like there's a bunch of huge hillsides where you can just go post up and hang out and watch golf, and you know, nobody's in your way and you got room to spread out, and it's great. But it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna take till the final group on Sunday, the final green on Sunday. There you go. There's that
There's the
hillside we were
chalk.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take until kind of that final group, final green to make it feel like, you know, all the people that are out there are out there. So the closest we got is this photo, I think, of, you can obviously guess this is Nelly going off number one. Nice crowd out there for that. But other than that, I mean, the people are pretty spread out, which makes for a great spectator experience, but probably looks a little thin on TV, I would say.
Yeah, and you're not going to get like the cascading roars across the like you would a tighter piece of property, especially like with no trees or nothing for those roars to bounce off of.
You know what? Quite to the contrary, it's so quiet
Really?
out there because no, because the property's so big. It's just it's quiet to the point where I was like, man, my guy Charlie here could really affect this championship at any given time. You know, it was. That was kind of running through my head, but luckily he was on his best behavior.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know. Good to know. There we are. I called you in the top of the show. I would say you are a resident Erin Hills expert, you know, just by virtue of your proximity to the course. I think you've played it the most out of any of us. I had a question for you today. How close was Erin Hills today for these women to like the ideal in your mind of what Erin Hills should be in the test that it should offer?
I don't think it was far off. I mean, I think you saw it reflected in the scores. There's, you know, one round in the 60s, a bunch of rounds in the 80s, a lot of those like hockey sticks going up by some pretty big names. And I think what's worth pointing out is like that happened with absolutely no wind. That was basically just whole locations, some bad game management, which we'll get to in a second, and you know, nice firm greens. And so it's like I'm sure the fairways are probably running a hair slower than they would like. I'm sure the greens maybe are just a hair slower or a hair less firm than they would like now that they've, you know, cut it down to 60. But I think it's pretty close. I mean, I think the only thing you'd ask for is maybe, you know, 10 miles an hour wind. Like, I don't think you want it to be like crazy bloodbathy out there, but I thought it was a really, really, really fun test to watch today. I think you could see the people who were down to make, you know, 15 is the best example. Probably we can just go right there. Like there were
15 was sick.
You could see the people who were down to make very easy fours, and to that pin, like truly, I don't know. I'm not trying to get out of my skis, but like knock, you know, you need to hit a 220 shot or something down there to the front of that green and chip on, and it is a very easy four, I promise. And a lot of those other people that are just like refusing to do that, God, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar and just made to look like fucking fools. And it was sick. Like, it was awesome. Some of the people flying it up there like hole high and leaving themselves these impossible chip shots and ping ponging over the green. It was great. And that's where I'm like, man, as much of that as possible. It probably didn't get quite as much TV run, but the pin on number 2 was very similar. We sat there for maybe an hour just watching groups go through, and like, again, the people who just want to kind of knock one down there and, you know, play US Open golf and leave themselves a little 60-yard pitch that they can put plenty of spin on and hit it up there to 12 feet and maybe make it, or definitely 2-putt, seem to have no problem. And the people are like, man, I'm forcing this thing up there and I'm going to have to, oh my God, all of a sudden I have to hit this like crazy nippy little pitch. Like, did not have a fun time. And I think that's the whole thing, right? Like that's it. And to your guys' point, you know, I was just listening to you before I hopped on. It's like I kind of you saw the two sides of Nelly, I think, in that debate. On that front side, just like, I'm not having a good time. She had a horrible 3-putt on 2 when she came through there. Horrible read on like, was that 15? Just like some really weird spots. But still kind of kept her head in it and fought it out. And I think like with, again, no wind tomorrow, and maybe they, you know, have another mix of, you know, almost flip, like they had some pins that were pretty pretty gettable today and a lot of pins that were really hard. I think all of these greens kind of have both of those options. So maybe you flip them and you make the easy ones hard and the hard ones easy tomorrow. And like, I think there's still a lot of birdies out there, which is again really fun. I think all the par fives are gettable, 2's gettable, 10 can be gettable. I don't know. There's just a lot of. I think I'm Jordan. No offense to you or anyone. I think that we might see a bloodbath in that final group tomorrow. I think we might see some classic, like history book, Old Testament U.S. Open shit tomorrow. In it, like inexperience meets just like a freight train of nerves. And I don't know. This was another one of my observations, but like I can't unsee some of Maja Stark's chipping stuff. I don't know if you guys caught much of this on the broadcast. Dude, it's not good. And it's still like statistically, I think she's still kind of like above average for the week. And maybe it's just the reason this stuck with me so vividly is because she's doing the same thing that I'm doing currently, which is she on number 2, you guys can picture it, up and over, short par 4. She drove it up there. You know, the pin, if you go back actually to that photo of Charlie smiling, I think you can see the second green in the background. But you know, this pin is perched on this like short front right corner right there, just above his left shoulder. And she drives it up there front left of the green. So now all of a sudden she's got this like kind of infinity chip looking thing. And the tension and the over the top, like get the axe out, wood chop, long pole left. Like she chipped it into that bunker long. And I think it like flew into the bunker. Like it wasn't even close. And then you saw her on 15 too, where she had another kind of touchy one and she just like basically laid it up. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think going into the final round, and then she's talking about how bad she plays when she's scared afterwards. It's just, there's a lot of interesting stuff. So I love watching her play golf, and I hope she proves me wrong, and I hope she goes and wins. I think that would be electric. But I'm interested to see what happens. Cannot wait.
Question for you. We saw 15, I think by virtue of that pin placement, as you're looking up at the green, it was far right. I don't think the broadcast captured as well as they could have. Like, just because it's a short 4, that was not a birdie hole today.
No.
I mean, you saw Esther Hensley had an eagle putt and ended up making double, which was so sick. So sick. It was part of like the pace of play apocalypse was how hard 14 or was how hard 15 was. My question, where would you like to see the pin today? Because I think when they put it back left, almost in that little bowl, it becomes more of a birdie hole. Do you think
it's like hard not to make 3 from there?
Yeah.
Like you drive it in one of those horrible bunkers or bone a chip or something. It's like
I hope they
is,
hang the flag even more right tomorrow, but I have a suspicion they're going to put it back in the left and it's going to be a much friendlier hole.
I think that's right. And because I think it was back there for day 1 too.
It
right?
was. Yeah.
And so I don't think they're going to go 3 of the 4, even though they should. And
is there like a short
request.
Is there like a front kind of not in that bowl? Is there a front location they could utilize, which they haven't like really been in that area yet?
Yeah, there is. I wonder if that would just. I think that would almost be. I don't know. Someone have to correct me, but I think that would be less exciting because then I think you just hit it to that like catcher's mitt, you know, that's kind of behind it, and everybody has 15 feet. You know, whereas I don't think anybody's going to try to hit like the perfect shot and then come up short and then watch it roll back to their feet. I think it would just be like spin one off that slope and you're going to have 6 to 15 feet for birdie.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might, I don't know. They might put it, I didn't see where it was in round 2, so I don't know what pin spots are left, but I could see it like, I could see them making that like a 2 hole though. I mean, like, you know, putting it where it's reachable, and maybe you just do put it like in that catcher's mitt, especially with how hard 17 they can make that one, especially how hard 18 obviously plays. 13's really hard. 14, I don't know if they've put it, have they jammed one way right on 14 yet, the par 5? Because that has a very, very similar like infinity drop off on that right side, which can be really fun, especially you get a player that's very reachable. So you get a player going for that one in 2 and trying to use that slope. And a lot of people will either like get hung up in that back rough like Jin Young Ko did, or you know, they miss right, and they've got like you could watch 3 or 4 come back to your feet from down there. So it's like they still have a lot of pins that I think will be really fun, but part of me kind of hopes that they just pick their spots, because like I don't think it's necessarily fun when every hole plays as hard as possible, but when you have like 1 out of every 3 playing as hard as it can is kind of the mix, I think.
Yeah. Any other? Well, the other comment I was going to say, they were claiming the greens were stimping at almost 13 today, which is
Spicy.
quick. Yeah, they're probably just not as firm, maybe, as obviously they could be with the moisture.
What's also fun about them too is like I don't know, when they do get really, really fast out there, but they're also just like they're so pure. Like they're truly just started on the line, and like I think you saw it with was it Mouse Saigo on 18 when Bones was like, oh, she ran that way past, and like this one's pretty delicate. Like she hearted that, but that was just like, oh yeah, started on your line. It's not going anywhere, you know. So even though they're quick, I think you could still run in some putts.
Any other observations?
A lot of drones.
Did you have anything in the
lot of drones out there?
notebook?
Like a
drones.
true fleet of drones out there, which was kind of electric. And I thought made the broadcast, you know, kind of pop a little bit, which was great. We're kind of dancing around this a little bit, but just kind of some subject game management to some of those pins. I mean, I was kind of saying it on 2, but 15 was the other one, man. I was struggling to wrap my head around missing in some of those spots, and so I'm pumped to see if that continues tomorrow, because I think it makes for some pretty electric viewing. I wanted to put 18. The 18th hole, I think TC and I have long debated this. We have a couple of lists. Obviously, the things that are sick lists. We have that running. We also have kind of a national registry of true par 5s, which they're such an endangered species. As you guys know, there's very few true par 5s left in the world. It's like the 15th at Pine Valley. There's that one hole straight up the hill at Tralee. I think it's like number 6. You know, there's just very few that are on there, and I would like to include the 18th at Erin Hills. I think is a true par 5 in every sense of the word. Nelly, you know, kind of forced one up there, but not many other players even sniffing that thing in 2 shots. It is a like nightmare layup, and then even when you do layup, you usually have like every time I've ever played that hole, I'm always like, all right, I should have, it's a par 5. I hit 2 good shots. I should have like 80 yards in. And you always have like 169 and uphill, and it's just death in every direction.
When
and
that green's back too, it's God, I just miss long, and it's so hard.
It's so hard. And so I want to put that on the list of official par 5s, and you know, that was a big one. A big
You and
takeaway
TC
today.
need to start like a national registry, like honestly, like give plaques to these places.
There's not many others that are on there, and if you know of one that you'd like to go through the approval process, please you know, submit it through the proper channels, and we'll take a look.
You got to hang that pin out there too on the left hand side, 18 tomorrow, right?
That's what I talk about. Like not fun things to see coming down like the stretch and trying to close out definitely your first major. That there's so many disasters looming on that hole. Another thing I want to shout out, Cody, I think I sent these junior posters over. I don't know if you saw those photos. This was a nice one. They had some young artists, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old, submitting some final designs for the US Women's Open poster. This one coming out of Winfield, an 11-year-old from Winfield. The one from Harper, age 11, from Economawalk. I was like, man, I was blown away. That's so good.
Whoa.
Kind of like, yeah, I loved that. I don't even know what that is. If it's almost like chalk or those like crayons sort of situation. Great stuff. That one stopped me in my tracks. Would love to put that on my wall. So I thought that was a nice touch. Just some cool posters. And of course, Madison from north of the border, west of the border, I guess, in Minnesota, with the Holy Hill, just a traditional kind of kind of poster there. I thought
I
there
feel
was
like the Holy Hill has not gotten as much run as I would have expected this week in a massive upset. I thought NBC
kind of
would
subtle.
be hammering the
Yep.
Holy Hill.
It's been one of my favorite things about Erin Hills is like if you're standing on, I think it's the 8th tee, or I think it's the 8th tee. There's a like you guys can remember, you can kind of see Holy Hill in a bunch of different spots, and there's one of them where you can just so clearly see where they like notched out all the trees so that you could see from the golf course to Erin Hills. And just talking to the caddies, they're like every time you get like out of town people or whatever, they're always like, man, that's so cool that the trees just like they grew in like the perfect place so you could see Holy Hill. Like that's amazing. Big, I got stopped in the merch tent today as I was checking out because apparently you had made reference to wanting to get a poster. And
Yes.
That was part of our preview. Yeah. JP showed us.
Don't call it a preview. Don't call it a
preview.
That's right. A deep dive history.
One of the cashiers was like, "Hey, man, I know Randy was looking for a poster. I was gonna set one aside. I didn't see any. So I was looking. I didn't. Was gonna try to grab you one, but didn't see.
You can't take one of these home.
That's kind of what made me think of it. And I was like, oh,
Harper's.
Name your prize, please.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking. So if we can get a print, maybe we can do a run of prints of Harper from Economawalk's posters. We can maybe try to get you one of those.
Deej, what's the plan tomorrow? You going out, or are you going to watch on TV from home?
You know what? This whole entire just weeks and weeks leading up, I was like, man, we're shooting like Monday to Thursday. We've got these like we're shooting from like 6 a.m. to like 10
busy
p.m.
days in
every day,
Milwaukee.
like big heavy shoot days. I was like, I'll go out Saturday with the family, like that'll be awesome. And I was like, I think I'll just probably watch on Sunday. Getting out there today and walking around, I was like, I'm 100% coming back tomorrow. This is like this is way too good. You don't get to see the women's game up close and personal in that way. Certainly not an hour from your house very often. So I'm pumped, man. I especially now that Mao and Nelly are playing together, like I'm gonna get there, I think, and go follow that group for a while and see if anybody wants to make an early move, which you kind of low-key can do. We saw Rio made eagle on number 1 today. Someone can put one up there and make a 3 on. You can definitely go 3-3 to start out there and start sending some shockwaves up that leaderboard. So I think I'll follow those guys for a while, and then if the final group is hanging tough, would love to see that in person. So maybe I'll fall back, or I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm very excited though. I can't wait to go get out there and watch some golf. Truly, guys, the weather could not be better. It's crazy. It's like nice and cool. And again, that was like kind of what almost reminded me of the Open too, is like, I feel like every golf tournament I've been to for the last 10 years is like 96 degrees, it's just fucking so crowded. And I'm like, God, yeah, this is totally better than watching it on TV. But this one actually is. I can't wait to go get out there and watch more golf tomorrow.
Awesome.
Well,
I'm jealous.
Incredible family pictures that you took over, sent over as well. Hopefully it went well.
Pick to win before we let you go.
I know TC is gonna ride with Rio Takeda, probably Takeda.
We'll have to ask Pooch.
You know who my pick to win is? Minji Lee. I think she's in it. Like I don't know if you guys are doing how far back is too far back, but I do not think she's too far back. And I think someone's going to go out and make some birdies. I think there's going to be a lot of nerves at the top of that leaderboard.
She could be somebody 3-3 start, and it's like, oh, okay,
yeah, which I think would be really, really fun. Or Nelly. God, Nelly might do it too. I don't know. It'd be fun to watch. Minji Lee is my official.
We'll all find out.
Pick. Yeah.
Well, very good. Deej, thank you very much. Thanks for the pop in. Have a great evening. I was going to say, I'm glad the fine people of Wisconsin are finally enjoying some nice weather. If I learned anything this past week, I know how tough of a spring it's been. So you guys deserve it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of the week. I'll pop back on tomorrow if you'll have me.
Sweet.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
To have you. Thanks,
guys.
Deej. We are going to get TC in here in just a second while we wrangle him. JP, one of the games within the games every year is the race for low amateur. What do we need to know about it? run us through who's in contention, set us up for tomorrow's final round for low am.
Well, first, let's talk through the AMs that actually made the cut this weekend. 6 amateurs made the cut. To no surprise, Lottie Woad made the cut. Carolina Lopez Shikata, who goes by CC, and that is much easier to say. So I'll just keep referring to her as CC. Kiara Romero, Farah O'Keefe, Ray Fang, and Maria Jose Marine, your D1 individual national champion reigning. So 6 AMs made the cut this weekend, which was tremendous, truly, and I think just another testament to how good they've been. I do really quickly want to acknowledge a couple AMs that did miss, which was disappointing for me to see. Just some notable names: Astros Tally missed, Paula Martin San Pedro missed the cut, and Carla Bernet Escuder, your reigning onward champion, missed the cut. So I was really bummed out by those misses, but yeah, we've got an interesting low am race on our hands. It was kind of interesting. I felt like I jinxed Lottie a little bit this morning. I got really excited that she was in featured group coverage, and I tweeted it out and with like the alarm emojis, and then like all of a sudden she is just like ejecting herself. She bogeyed 4 times she doubled 7 and had 3 bogeys on the front 9, and I'm like, oh dear, okay, no. I wish I could take this back. I just don't want to gatekeep the Lottie Woad coverage, but so yeah, I really thought it was hers for the taking, and then it totally wasn't. Cece, as I mentioned, Carolina Lopez Shikata, had made the cut on the number at +1, and she was kind of fighting yesterday to kind of stay in it. And she's actually really in this. She's only a shot behind Lottie. She played the best out of all the amateurs today. Was +2. Lottie was +4. Lottie's just kind of all over the place, so I don't really know. I think there's a lot of pressure not only to make low am, but there's also a lot of pressure for her to get another point, for her to get her LPGA card, which we've talked about it on our podcast before, but the Elite Amateur Program, the LEAP, she's right in it. She's only a few points away from earning her LPGA Tour card right before her senior year of college. So she right now, this week, she got her 17th point. If she finishes in the top 25, she'll get her 18th point. And next week, she's slated to play in the Arnold Palmer Cup. So she would get her 19th and be 1 away from the 20 that she needs. And I'm not going to get super ahead of ourselves, but Lottie is in the Women's British Open. So I don't know. It could happen. She could have this thing wrapped up this summer.
She could earn an LPGA card by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
Which is huge because they funnel everybody through qualifying series now. So it was either, get a card this way, which is a new pathway for the elite AMs, or, you're going to have to play well at qualifying series, which, over a handful of rounds, who knows? That's always a iffy proposition.
It's iffy, and it's also been really sacrificial for a lot of college careers because there's people at their prime, they've got to make a lot of hard financial decisions to whether to play in it or to forego the rest of their eligibility. And I think Lottie doing this is super cool, especially in the infancy of LEAP. That's hasn't even been a thing for even a year. Like, it's still in its very first year. And so getting those 20 points is really hard. I mean, you have to have a number of wins, awards, achievements, etc. And I think if Lottie can do it, that would be awesome. But she's got a unique set of pressures on her this weekend versus Carolina, who, is kind of on the come up from having a pretty gnarly wrist injury in the middle of her college career. She was obviously on that Wake Forest national championship winning team and has had a tremendous college career overall, but she struggled a little bit with injury and closed out her college career really impressively. She had 2 wins in her senior year and is finishing things up. And I think for her to just have that on her mind, a good finish in mind, really kind of separates those pressures. And I'm interested to see who plays well tomorrow between the both of them. But I don't know. I go back and forth because I didn't like what I saw out of Lottie today. She missed a lot of greens long, and I know her distance is kind of like her best weapon, but she's just really struggled a lot with the putter. And I think I don't know. She's not really doing herself many favors. And I don't know. That's kind of how she lost Anwa, and I really hope she kind of straightens things out a little bit tomorrow, kind of resets and gets back into it.
You know, a funny Lottie pre-tournament story. So I guess, you know, it's a big walk out there at Erin Hills, not only length, but also hills and everything else like that. She currently has double blisters. So blisters on both heels. I don't know what shoes she was wearing, if they're new or whatnot, but completely tore up her feet. So she's kind of been struggling out there. And I know almost every single one of us, whether it's been on a golf trip or anything else, you put on new shoes like one round before you probably should, and those blisters just destroy you.
Dude,
so I couldn't
the worst.
imagine like trying to get around 4 rounds at Erin Hills and like, oh my goodness, my feet hurt so bad.
I will plug FootJoy Quantums. I wore them all this week in Milwaukee. Legitimately, I think the most comfortable golf shoe I've ever worn. And I'm someone that has trouble finding like a super comfortable walking shoe. So free plug there for our friends at FootJoy. The Quantum is excellent. JP, I know there's a amateur though that currently is low am, Ray Fang, who is believe a 16-year-old from New Jersey. It's okay if you don't know much about her, but this has to be a little bit of a shock here. She's tied for 27th going into the final round.
Yeah, I know I talked up the underdogs a little bit earlier with Julia in the mix, but this is certainly the underdog of all of them. I mean, she's kind of creeping up on Lottie and Carolina, just kind of hanging in there. I don't know. I'm fascinated to see. I maybe I didn't really mention her because I'm like, all right, like, Ray Fang, like, okay, like, maybe
You're saying she's going to play horribly tomorrow. No, we get it. We get it.
Maybe, and I don't want that for Ray Fang. I really do not. But hey, I think this is a moment where I can say, Ray Fang, I was not familiar with your game. And mea culpa, I said, Cece had the best round of the day. Actually, no, Ray, she did have the best round of the day. Ray Fang had the second best round of the day, and then it was Lottie. I don't know. I think they got to be a little bit intimidated, right? Seeing like a 16-year-old just shoot up the leaderboard and hang in there. So I'm curious to see if she hangs around or if she completely ejects herself.
There's one person who we can get to report on this. All right. So 16-year-old Ray Fang, she's from Short Hills, New Jersey. That is the younger Schuster's neck of the woods. We might have to get him some on the ground reporting to figure out what's going on. Incredible story. I don't know. I hope I just went to pull up her AJGA results, and her last tournament she was DQ'd from, and it doesn't really say why. It just says DQ'd. So I'm like, okay, that's not helping me out too much. But it says she did win the New Jersey Women's Open last year at Knickerbocker Country Club. So, yeah, she got something going on tomorrow.
Yeah. Will be a rising senior, and good on her. Good on her. We'll see what she's all about tomorrow, I think. JP, thank you. Should be a great race for Low Am. Fun game within the game to keep an eye on. Cody, do we have Tron Carter anywhere?
We do.
Okay. He needs his own entrance music. Let's bring TC in. Mr. TC, what's going on?
Nothing. I just got back from PGA Junior League. Shout out to the first responders of golf. They're doing a great job out there growing the game. Freddie's first match ever. It was awesome. I wanted to. I was so jealous. I was like, man, I want to get out there. They're doing a little 2-on-2 scramble, and Cody, I got the big green egg all fired up. I just opened up a bottle of wine. Big night here, but I'm so jacked up after watching the last 2 or 3 hours of coverage today. 15 was magical. I feel like we got a US Open on our hands. They're big.
Absolutely, TC. I think it was proper with a capital P. It was good shit today. And I was going to say, this is like a TC certified leaderboard. I feel like we have some Swedes up there. We have a trio of Japanese women. You got to be loved. We got Minji Lee. I know you're a big Minji Lee guy. This has to suit your eye.
It does. And, Rio Takeda, I think that was one of my predictions beginning of the year, was like, she's going to win a major this year. So
that'd be
I think, you know what, the other thing I love? Having stats. Having like proper stats to look at, like looking at Maja and Rio are they're 1 and 2 in approach play. They've gained like 2.4 shots this week. Rio didn't drive it all that well today, so I think the sustainability models are liking her. If she can just get off the tee a little bit better tomorrow, just kind of smooth and steady. But honestly, Mal Saigo, like super impressive. Just didn't go away. Just kind of even keeled right there. I can't imagine playing golf for that long, for 6.5 hours.
I know. God, that's brutal. It was too bad that bogey on 18. That was the one that was really like, yeah, we gotta be a little bit better than that. As we look down the leaderboard, though, TC, it is a good leaderboard. Minji is the only one with a U.S. Open victory on her resume. Of course, we have other major winners. Nelly, we spent a long time talking about. Mal Saigo won Chevron, we mentioned. Hanako's an AIG winner. Question for you: Who do you think has the most to prove tomorrow? Is there anybody that you're looking at and it's like, she's got to answer the bell for you a little bit?
You guys talked about it earlier, Nelly. I want to see if she's got any grit, or I think everybody was glazing her a little bit too much for a 73 today, and I know she stayed in it. Putts weren't dropping. She was a little hangdoggy after the front, but I want to see her go out and be a bulldog, which I feel like Maja, like everything that Maja is what I want to see from Nelly. Yeah. I think Yalimi could be a big day for her tomorrow. Like if she can keep playing well. 75 today, not great, but and then otherwise, I think Lynn Grant, man. I think if Lynn Grant can go snatch one, like Randy, how far back is too far back? We got -7's the lead, and then
beautiful segue. I know. DJ didn't really trust either of the ladies in the final group.
Yeah,
Maja and Julia. If they really come tumbling back, I feel like 2 under certainly is in it. I would
-1 in it.
I know. I was going to say you get down to -1.
Andrea Lee,
Hannah Green. The
Crowder
question is how they're going to set it
yesterday.
up. Whether there's going to be like a 67 out there for anybody tomorrow.
Yeah, I totally agree with Deej in that. Like, I don't think you just throw out all the toughest pins, especially with pace of play out there. Like that was a disgrace to begin with today, playing threesomes when don't wait till 8:30. Like there's only 60 people made the cut. Don't wait till 8:30 to send them back out this morning to finish round 2. And then that kind of like I'll talk a little bit about it in a bit, but like I think the caddy situation today, like those guys, I guess they couldn't go out and like scout the course before the round today or see anybody playing it because they were, everybody was getting ready for the split wave tee times, but just like atrocious course management in caddying today, which is like, is there a crisis of caddying on the LPGA tour outside of like the top 5 to 10 players?
We were joking. I mean, truly, it'd be interesting had one of these women taken a club caddy, a local 100%. Caddy.
Like it's like like they were talking about it on the telecast of, Nelly's caddy going out and like he saw the place 3 times before she even saw it for the first time. But like, it's not like today 15 should have been a surprise, right? Like they put a US Open here. They had the same pin there. Like, it would truly be like, it would take anybody like 1 or 2 rounds to just say, hey, oh yeah, like that's not worth going at back there. Like just lay back and like DJ said, it's a par hole today. It's not a birdie hole. Just accept that and move on. And instead, between that and just some of the most like atrocious green reading I think I've ever seen, there was so much bad putting out there. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, are these ladies being forced to think it all week to week on the LPGA tour? Like, is it kind of a tell on the week to week, setups? And I know we've talked about this a lot of like, should there be harder setups week to week? With I think the LPGA is shooting themselves in the foot of like, you want to see more dominance and more like the cream truly rise to the top. Like, cool. Like Nelly hit a great shot into 14 or into 15 today, which is like a great shot got rewarded and a good shot was just a good shot. Like it wasn't, but I don't know. Like it was just a little bit like, man, like this shouldn't be the only time of year that we see these ladies having to really manage a golf course or really play on some slopey ass greens, you know?
Yeah, I think it's like we're seeing a test of short games that we simply don't get enough, especially with Wilshire off the Rhoda for this year as it was undergoing a renovation. I'm shocked we didn't see anybody chipping on 15 from that back hole. You know, they all
and then like NBC didn't do any favors either. Like Morgan was like not giving any analysis, and like they just kept saying the same thing over and over again.
Wow.
It's like,
that's crazy.
Like surprised every time it happens. I was like, what are we doing here? Like add something, you know?
Yeah. Cody, how far back do you think is too far back?
I'm right there with you. I think the group the group of 2 under is still good. So everybody in the top 10 has a shot. The only reason why I don't go back to 1 under is because, I mean, outside of, you know, Jin Young Ko's there and Hannah Green, like they haven't really shown very much like killer tendencies this year at all. Hannah usually rises big time in this first part of the year, and she's just kind of been there, hasn't really done much. Jin Young kind of say the same thing. There's somebody there at 10 under, or not at 10 under, in the top 10 at 2 under. Ronnie Yin, like nobody has said a word about at all, that is like salivating to be like, okay, you guys remember how I won my KPMG? This exact same scenario. Like I fucking hunted McGuire down and just took it from her.
Yeah. I'm glad you said her. I was thinking the same thing. She's loitering with bad intentions. I think TC, I think Minji is as well. Like
I said that earlier.
She's turned her putting around so much. Again, like this isn't a conversation about the long putter right now, but if it's this drastic of a change just from switching the club, I would really like the governing bodies to look into it and like make sure that it's the shortest club in your golf bag, because it's crazy how stinky she was, and now all of a sudden she's just amazing. And you can say the same thing about Yulimi, and it's brought back their career. I just don't know if that's like kind of the golf. We're talking about how great it is at this venue this year, and how it's a challenge for people because of short grass and, you know, undulating greens and wind and all this shit. And then we're kind of applauding people with a long putter.
I think to y'all's point, I think Sarah Schmelzel, like if she putts a little bit better, she's driving it great. She's, you know, like she's got some dog in her too. I think she could make some noise. But back to I think Lynn could dominate this golf course. Like if she just needs some putts to fall. Like I remember following her at Solheim Cup in Spain and just being like, man, how does she not, like it's a big golf course, right? And she has a distinct advantage on a big ass golf course. And, you know, like DJ was talking about 14, if they put the pin over on the right on 14, there's so many ladies that are going to struggle so much with that third shot versus Lynn being able to get it up there in 2. And, you know, she had 220, 225 into 18 today. That's such a weapon.
It's such a weapon. I would say she just has to get a little cleaner though in like her short game. And also I couldn't believe she kept that jacket on. TC, you called it the Dare Leak collection. I was flabbergasted she kept that thing on all day.
TC, I understand where you're at with Lynn. And Randy, you said something earlier in the private chat that kind of shocked me, but
I said, well, let me say it.
Wasn't also today like supposed to be the round that Lynn took advantage of and capitalized and ran up this leaderboard, and she didn't do it. She like kind of went and hid, but yet TC, you kind of come in and you're like, this is bullshit on Nelly. You guys were way too nice on her for back 9. And like, she did exactly what she was supposed to do. And Lynn did not.
So my
Lynn
take
has never done that.
I'm sure people are wondering what my private take was, but I have no problem making it a public take. I said today, I'm worried that Lynn is the next Charlie in the sense that both are like super fun to watch. Both I think are very swaggy out on the golf course. They're not serious enough in the end to like win very much out here. There's just, I don't know. Lynn's
think
just
she's
not
really. I
tight
think she's
enough.
almost too serious though.
Serious.
I don't know. Maybe I was like, why is that bulky jacket on you all day?
You're
That's
so
gotta
obsessed.
be, that's
I don't
gotta
know-
be unwieldy.
I don't
like, I don't know,
understand
she
how
made a
you're
birdie
so
on
triggered
9
by
today.
that jacket, Big, after you were applauding her last year at the Women's Open when that was like some ridiculous shit.
Well, that's what I
Let
mean.
her have a hot girl
I
summer.
just don't think she's
Let her sweat in the
capital S
jacket.
serious. I don't know.
And
But
I'm
I love
kinda
Char-
getting
I
there with
love watching
Nelly.
Charlie. I
If
love
Nelly, like, I don't think Nelly's like, she's won a women's PGA and a Chevron, and she's 26. And like and she's almost 27. All we hear about is like she's like right in the middle of her prime, if not entering the back half of her prime.
Listen, I agree. I think
For
this
sure.
is, I think Nelly, a lot like Lydia Ko needed a US Open or a British Open, and Lydia got hers last year. Like Nelly needs one of these in her career.
Yeah.
100%.
And if Solly
Where
was
does
here, he'd
Nelly's
be-
window end for you, TC? I'm very curious.
I don't know. She's got that long, languid swing that should age really nicely. But man, the putter is just like truly it's truly holding us all back from like witnessing some greatness here.
True. It's also very,
Um,
very tough. Again, do you know how many years separate those two players?
Who, Lynn
And
Nelly?
Nelly? Nelly's on the
what,
back
like-
half of her career.
like
She's almost
like
done.
18 months or like 11 months. And like
Yes.
Lynn has
Yeah.
not been I don't know. Lynn went to Arizona State. She's been pro for 4 years now. She's more Ludwig. Like I was gonna say, Solly would be calling me out right now for they're like they're just at different points in their career though. Like I feel like Lynn's still
But how can
somewhat-
Nelly be closer, like on the downhill slide, 11 months different than?
I feel like we
than-
know exactly who and what Nelly is, seemingly. Like we've had 7
I'm
or 8
getting
years
more
of it.
afraid that what we want and hope Lynn to be is just not going to ever realize. And that's a bummer. Like I want her to become a top 10 player and a
she'll be top
consistent
10
major
for sure.
threat.
for sure. But I don't think that she's the killer that TC believes.
I don't think she is yet. I think she almost has to like learn how to be. But then I watched her at Solheim Cup and I'm like, holy shit, she is. She just, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I think Rio Takeda. And nobody's talking about Shibuno either. We got
No one's talking about Shibuno.
that was
Shouldn't
one of
we
the
be
Scrambling
talking
her
about
ass
Shibuno?
off this week.
nastiest
sworn
chips
Shib-
I've ever seen on 16.
Hmm.
I could have sworn Shibuno made like 6 or 7 bogeys today. And when I looked at her scorecard, I'm like, huh? She's only made like what, 1 or 2? Yeah. Her short game is dirty. Dirty.
Yeah. And Randy, you were saying like I think 17 is such an underrated hole out there. Like, you know,
Yeah, I
Mal
love
went
17,
long
the
there. There's no
bunkerless.
bunkers up there.
Yeah.
Great green. There's a lot going on up there.
Also,
a cool
it gives the
finishing
players
stretch.
the green's really sweet, but all like you want to get a better look for it. Take the route that Lynn and Maja took. They pushed it way out over on that right hand side where everybody else hugged it left, and it's like completely cutting off half that green. If you're aggressive with your lines off the tee, you're rewarded for them. And it seemed like, I mean, that was part of Maya's game plan today.
I
was
think something
disappointed-
else with the
Yeah, go
Japanese
ahead.
players is I think an underrated element with them is they know how to win. Because they've all like won a bunch in Japan, right? Like they know how to close out golf tournaments. They, you know, they're shorter golf courses and everything like that, but they know how to like go slam the door. Like Rio Takeda won a bunch last year, you know, which I
that's
think
a great
is
point.
is a pretty, you know, versus, you know, somebody like a Sarah Schmelz or even a Nelly. It's like they're not, you know, they're not winning at that clip, or they haven't done that until, you know, they're kind of. I mean, Cody, Nelly didn't win for
mean,
like
how many
a
times did she win
55
last year?
stretch. Yeah, I know, but like prior to last year, we were saying like she had to like learn how to go slam the door,
Correct.
and she did.
I agree.
But
Do you know where I like a Yelimi No, right? Who turned pro super
Yeah.
early. I know she did win on the LPGA this year, but I thought she is somebody TC like, yeah, had she like graduated from winning a bunch on another tour, I think it would just make such a difference where it's hard to learn how to win on the LPGA tour.
Hell yeah. That's a great point. And I mean, just different levels of winning, right? I mean, we talked about this with Angel. Like she's somebody, like she expects herself to win every single tournament that she plays in. And it's just really, really hard week in, week out on the LPGA tour. Back to TC's point, when you have like setups that if you don't shoot 28 under par, you're out of it. You're like, wait a second. So then
It's not identifying the right talent.
Those same people to come to venues like this. And we're like, well, fuck, those don't really add up.
Yeah. Like the fact that this is such an outlier for the season, and it probably yields what seem like flukier winners when they shouldn't be as fluky, because it's just identifying different stuff. I think another person a little bit disappointed in how she played today, Madeline Sagstrom.
I know.
She was 77 today, and like this feels like her kind of golf course. It's, she's got all the shots, tee to green. Just kind of, couple tough holes on the front nine and then a string of bogeys coming in. But
yeah, I was disappointed. God, the way she hits the ball, I was hoping, find fairways. If her approach plays on, she's a good putter when she's hot. I had high hopes today too. That was disappointing. Let me transition us, if you guys don't mind, unless there's anything else, by all means. But I was gonna TC and Cody and Jordan. We don't have to like hammer it, but the broadcast, the coverage of the U.S. Women's Open, I think is a story this week, insofar as I think overall my take would be this is by far and away the best presentation of women's golf that we get here in the United States. You can tell DJ talked about all the drones. I mean, Tommy Roy's got the toys this week. They got, Bones out there. He's great on the broadcast. They're doing feature groups. You got Dan Hicks, he's part of the main NBC team on the men's side. What's good? What's bad? What's missing? Anything you want to shout out? Please, anybody jump in here with the broadcast coverage. Cody.
Yes, I do have one before we get starting down this. Is you rightfully called me out earlier when I was talking about Peacock and featured groups and early round coverage and everything. So this is it's not a full one. This is a mini culpa from me. I'm sorry I had it on the wrong channel.
No, that's okay.
Outside of that,
well,
guys,
hold on. Let me tell people tomorrow we're 2 to 7 Eastern on NBC/Peacock. But there's going to be feature groups available before that on the USGA app and Peacock. Those aren't going to be any of like the final 4 or 5 groups or whatever, but you can watch some early golf. Cody, go ahead.
Yeah, I just it's reminds me a lot of the US Open at LACC. That damn airplane that's up there. I'm happy to hear that there's all the drones and everything, but the buzz from that damn plane, it really doesn't matter whose voice it is. And like, I thought Dan Hicks did an awesome job today, but it drowns me to sleep. And when you have like the LPGA Tour and women's professional golf is already fighting an uphill battle when like trying to keep people entertained and put all this stuff, together. And then you have that. I don't know what else they can do, but with the reliance now on more drones, you would think we don't need to have these planes that are up there like that, especially when you're only getting like a shot or two from that vantage point an hour. Yeah. I don't know.
With different camera angles, drones, graphics on screen, stats, great. Through the USGA website. Like
even Deej said it like on our Slack. Deej said like even the presentation that the USGA has of just the flags whipping at the top of the grandstand or the red, white, and blue, or just the way that they position grandstands. He's like, that felt like a major today. That felt like going to the Open Championship, and going to Quail Hollow for the PGA felt like going to a PGA Tour event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is something there with all that branding. I think for me, it's like the presentation was great. I thought the analysis, it just leaves me, there's just no juice, right? There's no real analysis. I think they're sorely missing Judy Rankin.
Yes.
I mean, she's just, there's just a massive hole there.
I think Morgan, I think this is one of those things where Morgan's probably still way too close to the players to be comfortable to like call shit out and say when things are bad. You can't be shocked when things are bad and be like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe that happened. Well, like, Morgan, it's kind of your job to tell us why that happened.
Yeah.
You
There's
know,
never a why, or there's never an explanation or how.
They're missing a dynamic presence. Like Mel Reed, I thought was good in her.
So good. And's been awesome on Live From.
She's great in the studio show. Yeah. And I think there's like, that's where it's like, I'm begging for somebody like Marina Alex, like get in the game, or bring Iona in, or somebody where like, I'll just be like, I can't do Kay Cockrell. Like, I feel like she's been doing this for a long time, and like, she's just like not progress. Like, she seems like a nice person, all that. She's just not progressing. She's not getting any better. I'm not getting anything out of it when she opens like her line on the thing. And same thing with Tom Abbott. Seems like a nice guy, but like, it just feels like a week to week LPGA Tour event with no juice there.
I
don't want to go that. I don't think it's that far. Dan, I mean, it definitely feels elevated. The week to week LPGA Tour.
When Dan and even Morgan there, I'm like, all right, cool. Like that's fine. And then they toss it to them, and it's like, I don't know how you get some more dynamic people in place there. There just needs to be some new blood.
I thought Cara Banks, she was doing the early Peacock main coverage.
Yes.
I actually like Cara. I think she was good.
I think it's her first time doing play-by-play stuff. She's usually only in studio or doing interviews. So phenomenal work by her.
And she did both today.
She was with Paige McKenzie. That was enjoyable. Yeah, they're just I think you nailed it, Cody, with Morgan. Is just too clear. She as an audience, you can tell she's not giving us everything she can. And I think that's to the detriment of the view. Yes, it's safe. That's a great.
You don't have to flame them. You can just say, hey, like, that was a bad shot. Like, it's, I think Immelman does a great job with it. He's Adam Scott's coach. He's close with all these guys. He was the President's Cup captain. Like, he's just as close as Morgan is with, and he does a great job with it. And Judy did it in like the most professional way. I know that was honed over decades, but like, it never felt malicious or mean spirited or personal. It was just an objective evaluation of what was happening on the screen.
Yeah. I think you talked about the sharp contrast from like the week to week. I also think this week really makes a bit of a mockery of like the Chevron, right? As a major championship. Totally. Both from a broadcast perspective. And, just everything. It's like, it doesn't feel right to like Mal Saigo, you have a major at the Chevron, and maybe she'll win tomorrow, but it just is no comparison. I'd say Evian's the same way. And KPMG, like, you need to step your game up and close the gap with what we see this week. Like the PGA of America, you got to put forth a better effort for the KPMG.
And we're Cody, not sitting here.
I don't have as much of the opinion, just because Cody and I are always over on site and we're doing radio, and like I don't really see the broadcast from an American perspective, but
we do hear that there's a lot of commercials.
Everybody says it's pretty shit.
And like we're not sitting here trashing them for moving over to Golf Channel even today.
No,
like
that's
it seemed like an own goal to try to fit it in the window and then go an hour over the window. But like, hey, we get it. It was a pretty seamless transition over to there. They didn't make a huge deal out of it. It's not a huge deal for me to change the channel as long as I know where it is, and it's not going to Peacock. It's going to Golf Channel, right?
Yeah. Which I wish the early coverage wasn't through a streaming service. I wish that was.
I think USA that's the other thing. Channel. It's like the Memorial's kind of been a snoozer so far. I know Scotty played well at the end there, but feels like kind of an opening for, hey, get this thing on a channel that everybody can find pretty early on and let people get hooked to it early on and create some excitement and some buzz, Yeah. Hopefully that's the case tomorrow, coming on at 2.
Can I slip in a debatably hot take for a second?
JP, yes. I would love nothing more.
From a visual standpoint, I would say the US Women's Open is a phenomenal broadcast, truly. However, from a storytelling perspective, I really do think it falls short to Anwa. and mostly because
Yeah.
Anwa is spotlighting a part of the game that gets almost no visibility throughout the calendar year. And the US Women's Open is spotlighting something that gets a little more visibility, but it's also kind of going back to Chevron and commentaries on other major championships and how those broadcasts are. It's like those aren't really supportive and laddering up to what this could be. And so, on one hand, it's like, you know, there's enough context here to really shine a light on these players and who they are and their stories and broadly who they are and, you know, the tension and drama and everything in what this major championship means. In Onwa, they do it in such a tight window. I mean, they do it basically the Onwa broadcast, so to speak. I mean, the main day is Saturday, right? At that's the day everybody is watching the broadcast. That is the final round. That is the story of the week. And they highlight players who you've never heard of, you've likely never seen play, who get almost no visibility through the year, and they do a tremendous job at it. US Women's Open, I just feel in a lot of ways we're kind of left with context that's missing or repetitive fun facts or things that, like, you know, it's just I don't know. It falls short in certain ways.
Can I give a pushback?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the size of the field.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, Jordan. I also think we might be sitting here complaining if they were doing a lot of that to the detriment of just showing a lot of shots. And I will commend them for showing a lot of shots.
They brought more cameras this year. You can tell.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a hard needle to thread. But
I would much rather miss on
not
that.
excusing or dismissing your point, because I do think it's completely valid.
Ideally we would get both.
I want a broader illustration and visually and like consistency within the shots and moving through. I don't feel like we're missing.
Honestly, I think that's
anything.
where NBC Golf Channel fails week to week, is where they should be storytelling. And then, as you said, like laddering up into like, this is the biggest week of the year, but at least the majors, then, you know, ideally people are picking up the stories through the normal LPGA events. And there's little of that.
Yeah, and it's going back to what we were talking about during Chevron. It's like it's just so frustrating that the week to week and the other major championships don't try to outshine each other as much, you know, and there's not, you know, it feels like there's a lack of competition in terms of what your product can be week to week or what your major championship is. I mean, you know, this has a very defined identity, right? And we really got into that in the deep dive, and it was so easy to really ID certain milestones and different things that made this championship. And with the other major championship other than the British Women's Open, that's pretty difficult to do.
Yeah.
And the AIG is like late to the party. Like that's only in the last, you know, couple decades that they've been really invested in it. Yeah, you're exactly right.
I think we're kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt here, because we have big complaints about what coverage as well. I mean, there's not enough of it.
It's not
the first
perfect.
2 rounds. I think that they're greatly aided by the fact that Augusta National puts it on, and they have a ton of pre and post round coverage to tell those stories. On the Friday of practice rounds, you have people coming through that live from desk and telling their stories and giving updates and getting to know these players. That's only 30 of them that make it to Augusta National. I mean, that's a lot different than trying to figure out what is 156, like which name are we going to draw out of that here. But I do agree that like the fact sheet for this week seems to be about 1 line deep on a lot of these players. And it's like, oh, she plays in Mississippi State. And you're like, well,
there's just a
lot more there.
Manpower and you know, resources behind it. I think speaking of like character development, I think a layup moving forward for the USGA and for, you know, NBC Golf Channel is treating the course as a character. And I think looking at, you know, Erin Hills, like, shit, if you're into golf course architecture and you want to see world-class golf on it, like tune in tomorrow, right? I think if looking at Riviera next year, Inverness the year after, Oakmont, Pinehurst number 2.
That's such a good point.
You know, you got Interlaken, like we don't ever get to see that place. Oakland Hills, LACC, Chicago Golf Club. Like, why not have an architect? Like they used to have Gil Hance on the broadcast when he was with when Fox did it. Why not? Like they could easily bring somebody in, and because that's such an element of this tournament specifically. Like there's big bold slopes. There's There's all sorts of different architectural, strategy and angle, truly angles going on because there's not as much spin. It's kind of one of those things of like, this is almost the golf that we want to see the men challenged with, but they're unable to do so. And so lean into that, right? And make that sing.
Amen. That's a great point. And you're exactly right there at the end. I was going to say, highlight that even if you've seen these venues for men's majors, like this is going to be a different type of golf that's being played. And how does the course, how does that bring out the course, or what are those different, you could just poke and prod and drill deep into some of that stuff. Having an architect on is such a no-brainer, TC. That's a great call. Well, we'll talk more tomorrow, I'm sure, on the Sunday night wrap up. Guys, I think we end it here. Let's go around with some predictions. Unless there's anything else, JP, got any more hot takes you want to throw out there?
Gotta save them for tomorrow, Big.
Okay. I don't mean to rush us out of here, but last thing on the agenda is just to predict the winner tomorrow. Can I put you on the spot, Jordan? You want to go first?
You absolutely can. Hinako Shibuno takes a U.S. Women's Open for her second major championship.
Wow. Now she winning.
That would be the two real majors too.
I was going to say though, hers was not on a links course, her AIG win. But yeah, getting those two would be wonderful. Let's go around here. Cody, who do you have to win?
Maja Stark.
Love it.
Would be great. Love that outfit today. I wouldn't mind if she washed that up tonight, run it back. Those are winning colors tomorrow. All black with the white Nike hat. That was sweet. TC, I guess you're taking Rio. Are you sticking with Rio?
I'm taking Rio, yeah. And I think just the underrated element is how much money is on the line tomorrow, even if you don't win. Of like
$12
million purse.
Yeah,
and it's
good call.
2.4 to the winner. And you get that's 5-6x what a lot of tournaments week to week on the LPGA Tour pay out. And so even if you get a top 5, like I'll be really curious to see how it plays out because there's some pretty decisive holes and shots where you could probably start protecting the points a little bit.
There is somebody on the I was sitting there thinking about like, wow, I think this was when Tamberlini, I don't know, is that how you pronounce her last name?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, she plays full-time LET and I'm like, oh, okay, thinking like what this, if she fell back today, but like what this money, this payout is going to be. And then I was going down the rest of the leaderboard and I'm like, wow, there's a ton of Epson players that made the cut. Not a ton, but there's like 4 or 5 of them, specifically Haley, what's her name? Haley Cooper. And like she plays full time on the Epson tour, is sitting in there tied for 13 right now. Yeah. Like that is so much cash to carry her on.
Years on the Epson tour and not make as much money as you can make tomorrow.
Mari Avery, we didn't even talk about. Oh man, like her rental house got broken into. Her and her boyfriend had to scramble to go to a hotel at like 3 a.m. He takes the wrong travel bag back to LA, and she has to play her second round with Gabby's golf clubs. Like just crazy stories.
And she played well yesterday with a totally foreign set of golf clubs. That's nuts.
We should say that was in total error. They both played on the USC men's and women's team. So total error for Gavin.
Guys, winner pick. I am going to go with Maja Stark.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yes. Okay, because we did that, I truly
nobody's going with Nelly.
Heart of hearts.
No.
I really want Nelly to win this thing. But
I would love it if Nelly won.
I think we're honestly tomorrow's conversation is going to be a lot like the norm conversations we have. And Nelly was like, she got close, but she had that double on. She doubled 15. She did what she didn't need to do, and we're right back at the same spot. But man, it would be awesome.
Do we need to have a hard conversation tomorrow? I think we have to have a harder conversation.
We're gonna have to have a couple.
Didn't do it.
There are a couple miscut names that I wanted to have perhaps hard conversations around tomorrow night. I almost feel like none of us, or I never picked the winner the night before. So I was almost staying away from Nelly because I'm like, I would love for her to win. I'm sorry to
I
put
mean,
that burden
Nelly
on
won a
Maja.
major last year, so I think we can get, and she T2 at the women's British, though, tough scene on 16 there. But I think we can give her till the end of the year before we have to have a tough conversation.
I think that's
Right.
that's fair. Yeah. I almost picked Ronning.
Yeah.
I could see Ronning shooting 69. And if it's tough, maybe that's a playoff. It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
I mean, she tees off an hour before the final group too.
I wish we were gonna get a
plays
little
with
win tomorrow.
Yulimi. Do you guys think so? Nelly's
That should
obviously
be
draws
the
the
final
biggest crowd.
feature group. Ronning and Yulimi, I think, should be hopefully the final featured group.
Oh,
She's
Randy,
gonna
I thought you were saying they should just send them out in subjective order.
no.
Should be
So
sick.
Nelly's
Which
going to
would
draw
be
the biggest crowd. Do you guys think that obviously DJ was on and did a great job going overview of like the property and stuff. Do you think Nelly's crowd, and if she gets momentum, like, will that matter? Or do you think Erin Hills is just that big of a property that you're like, no, yeah, something's going on back there. But I just don't know if Nelly has like that aura of like, oh no, Nelly's coming.
There were some pretty audible roars.
I do
honestly,
think
on
if
the broadcast,
if you got it on like 9 kind of backs up to 10T and like 11 green, 12T. So if she's doing stuff there when the leaders are coming through 9, I could maybe see that. That seems like kind of the one spot on the course where there's some serious critical mass. And,
I know it's not in her nature, so I'm like not holding it against her, but how fun would it see like Nelly like really fist pumping and showing a lot of emotion if she was charging down the back 9 tomorrow?
Wear your heart on your sleeve, girlfriend.
Like, I think that would get crowds going. I just don't think she gives enough to the galleries to like really respond in kind sometimes.
That's kind of why I like Maja, because it seems like sometimes it's a little like over the top, but you're getting a fist pump for almost everything.
Yeah. I think she stands out because like she does give us emotion.
Moment. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of these women give you much, quite honestly. Yeah.
Do you know who always gives a good fist pump?
Who's that?
Carlota.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Carlota made the cut?
Oh, her group was on the clock.
How slow it would have been.
I can't believe Sarah made the cut playing with her. Like, that's, again, I know I mentioned it earlier, but yeah. Good on Sarah Smezel for making it through that test.
Fun twosome. Ray Fang, the 16-year-old current low-am, gets to play with Lydia Ko tomorrow. That's freaking awesome. That's going to be a bucket list for her. That would be a fun feature group as well. I don't know if they've talked about those yet. Well, we mentioned coverage. Yeah, go ahead, TC.
Carlota, they just need to start like telling her like, hey, you can't tee it up unless you're going to be faster. Like straight up, like you're just not allowed to like show up. You can't enter the tournament.
Someone needs to order a pizza.
The real ones will get that one, JP. All right, guys. Let's call it there. 2 to 7 Eastern tomorrow. That's Peacock and NBC. There's going to be feature group coverage, though. Peacock, USGA app. Check your local listings. We are going to be live following the conclusion of play tomorrow. We're going to, of course, break down the U.S. Women's Open. We're going to break down the Memorial Tournament. Thank you all for watching on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Enjoy the final round. We got a proper golf tournament on our hands. Thank you to TC, DJ. Thank you to our sponsors, Titleist, FootJoy, and ourselves, the NLU Pro Shop. Thank you to Cody for running the 1s and 2s. Anything I'm missing here?
No.
Excited for tomorrow, Big.
Let's go launch.
We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Cheers.